Hello everyone, my name is Alok. Wait a second, my health bars are off. Take 2. Action. Hello everyone, Okay, I messed that one up. Take 3. Hello everyone, my name is Loco, and what I've got for you today is a best of 5 series of Zerg versus Protos, where none other than Solar is going for a 12 pool. Okay, that's weird. Down in the bottom right, playing with the red Protos pieces, not getting the famous Loco voice crack. We're looking inside of the main base of MaxPax. Now, is MaxPax going to be scouting? The norm is to either scout before the first pylon or with the first pylon. Scouting with the gateway may as well be considered a no scout because you just sort of show up after any sort of real early game aggression has already been fired up. Are we gonna pull the boys? Really, Solar? He just selected, did you see that? Like, he had a gigantic amount of selections right there. I think on, like, all but 2 drones, if I saw correctly. That's probably him making a hotkey profile. So, I believe we are gonna be sending the boys together with the Zerglings, and we will be cheesing the very first game of this best of 5. Okay. Now, since MaxPax didn't scout, spoiler alert, he's super dead. I don't think there's any chance that he is gonna be able to hold the might that is the drones and the Zerglings. So Solar leaving a couple drones behind just to get the continuous production here on the additional links. Yeah, this is massively problematic. If you scout late, at least you can start up a zealot. You're still in a world of trouble. But at this point, it's going to be a fight between workers and Zerglings and workers. I wish MaxPax good luck, but Zergling DPS is incredibly high at this stage in the game. Now, obviously, he does have a very high worker count. Actually, not an ideal bit of control right here for Solar, who was busy targeting down the pylon. Additional Zerglings, though, are still joining in, and even with the slight bit of mismanagement, game number 1 is already over. And just like that, barely 2 minutes in, we find ourselves on the map Mothership. Are we gonna cancel the drone again, Solar, or are we... Okay. To be fair, this is a 3-player map. Oh, really? No, this is an extractor trick. Thought for a second we were still gonna go, like, gas into pool before a hatchery yet again, but no. This is just a very normal start. Mothership, of course, is a 1v1 map with 3 spawn locations. Now, you could technically still go for a 12 pool, but obviously you run the chances of accidentally moving in the wrong direction if the Overlord does not make it to the natural in time. Now, I do quite like this from MaxPax. He doesn't quite blink, right? At least maybe, well, when he gets Stalkers out, he will, but he doesn't immediately send out a probe again to check whether or not Solar is trying to, I don't know, speed run this best of 5 series. It happens every once in a while that we see full-on cheese all over the map in every single map of the series, but not the case here this time around, and MaxPax is not going to pay the price of a unnecessarily early scout. Now, I gotta say, Solar has very quickly become, can I say this? Probably my favorite Zerg player on the new patch. At the very least, the man who's been impressing me more than basically all of the other Zerg players out there. Solar, for a long time, played a super conservative style where he's very predictable, but the new patch, ever since it went live, he's been going for very different strategies. He's been mixing it up all of the time, like you could see as well in that previous game. And truthfully, we haven't seen Serral play ever since the new patch went live, other than in like one small tournament where he beat a couple of players that were significantly worse than him, all in best of ones, and then he did like one best of 1 series against Clem. I sadly couldn't get the replay for that one, but he played 1 best of 1 against Clem that Serral ended up losing. At least as of me casting this, I haven't seen a Serral game in several months, and I guess that may very well make Solar the new #1 Zerg. Can we say that? Is that allowed? I don't know. Fun fact, actually, Aligalek, which is the statistics website that basically everybody uses for StarCraft 2, it kicks you out of the rankings when you're, well, inaccurate for a certain amount of time. And I feel like, as of me casting this, Serral must be on the brink. Like, you gotta play, I think, at least 1 match every 2 months. I don't know what Cyril's up to. I feel like there's two options, right? Either he just doesn't feel like playing. Obviously, he won the World Cup. Maybe he's taking it easy for a little while. Or he's playing an insane amount, but he's just not sharing it with anybody. A lot of practice is done in custom games, and, well, usually when you are playing customs, the courtesy would be to not share those games. So I don't know. Either way, all of this is to be said that Solar is looking like a bit of a beast lately. And I've been really liking his games a lot. So most of the time what he currently does in ZVP, as we actually have a Void Ray opener here for MaxPax, I feel like it's the easiest thing, though, that you can copy as a Zerg player from Solar's Zerg versus Protos. Solar just makes a bunch of drones. Like, he very much so seems to split up the game in, like, two phases. So phase one is make the economy. This is up to, like, 50 drones, 60 drones, 70 drones, 80 drones. And then once he reaches whatever economy he wants to go for, he just goes for non-stop unit production. He never really seems to return to droning unless he absolutely needs to. And it's one of the easiest things you can implement. He just throws whatever he's got on his opponent's side of the map, and it is up to them to try and hold it. As long as your early game is clean, well, Protos does seem to be struggling quite a bit against it. Void Ray is, of course, always a little bit scary. Not really that powerful of a unit in the grand scheme of things, but it can deny pretty much all scouting. At least that's normally its goal. Sadly, right here for MaxPax, though, there was apparently an Overlord that made its way across. Maybe MaxPax actually dodging that first Overlord on purpose because he wanted to secure some more kills. The problem, of course, is if you target fire down this OV over here, then all of the other Overlords that are slightly more exposed, ooh, are immediately going to be returning back home. There's a second Stargate hiding behind the natural mineral line. This is so freaking greedy here from MaxPax. He saw, I guess, that the Overlord was rerouting, and he decided, you know what? I think it's safe. Solar now sees it. Solar, you gotta move! Turn right with the Overlord. From the Overlord's point of view. Go. He didn't click it. Honestly, he could still just move it a slight bit to the left and be okay. I don't believe, like, even though it was within vision, I don't think he clicked it. But what would possibly be a 3x3 structure hiding behind the natural right now? I mean, it could be a Twilight, it could be a Forge. What is even the second Stargate gonna be for, though? Because we do have a Twilight and we do have a Forge inside of the main base. Are we gonna... Are we gonna mass Void Rays? Like, Void Ray Zealot? Is that what we're doing? This kind of looks like Void Ray Zealot, which is a pretty dumb strategy. I was thinking of a nicer way to put it, but... What... Are we... Did we... Yeah, that's the plan. Okay, yeah, that's all that really makes sense here. Because you just don't have a whole lot left over if you're pumping out 2 Void Rays. They're expensive. I can't help but notice that all the top-level Protoss players have been inspired by Hero lately. And Hero, of course, has been inspired by your average Gold League players. This is an exceptionally popular style in Gold League. It was basically unheard of for many years in at least the professional level. But apparently, the top-level Protoss players right now are bringing it back. I kind of love it, but it's also a bit strange to me. The thing about Void Ray builds, right, is that there's only so much you can do with this. Like, there's not a whole lot of micro that's really possible. It's the same with Zealots. Like, all jokes aside, your average Gold League player can attack move Zealots as well as MaxPax can. There's really not that much more control. Now, of course, you can kill these things really fast. I think actually a Roach Hydra would be a really good style here for Solar. Solar may not be expecting it. Ooh, a couple of High Templar, though, do get spotted. Storm is coming up. So I guess this is going to be Void Ray. I do like this little adept run by. Void Ray, Zealot, High Templar with Storm. Solar is going to be wondering as well what in the world is happening here. If you commit too heavily into Hydralisks, you're likely going to just get destroyed. The Void Rays, of course, will be countered, but everything else could be problematic. Now, this timing, though, from Solar may be sharp because, look at this. The Psystorm research is only about maybe 60% or so of the way done. You can chrono boost it and get it out a little bit quicker, but without Storm, these units are going to be incredibly powerful. Oh, no. Hydras are knocking in the natural. Cybercore is going to go down, it seems. No, he actually decides to just go for the mineral line instead. Can't really blame him. Yeah, and this is now massively problematic for MaxPax. What do you do when your opponent is doing stupid stuff? The age-old StarCraft 2 adage still goes, when you see your opponent doing stupid stuff, you just go fucking kill him. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's what you usually do. Hydras, though, dashing through the storm. It's 10 probes going down at this point in time. More and more Hydras and Zerglings showing up. I mean, this could actually be kind of a hold. Is it a hold? There's no way. Is this actually a hold? So like I said, Solar has arrived at the worker count that he's aiming for. Oh, here come the queens. He is not following this up with anything else. It's actually a hold. It's actually fine. MaxPax is totally fine. I take everything back. Yeah, so Solar is unlikely to really add on additional drones at this point. So he decided to halt here at about 56. He did obviously lose a bunch of drones as well, but he's only really made 60-something workers. We're effectively going to double down now, but at this point, obviously, Storm is done. Cybercore needs to be rebuilt. You do need to be able to, like, for example, make Stalkers or Sentries or anything like that. All of it requires a Cybercore. For Zealots, though, does not matter. Storm here could still be so dangerous. Do you feedback the Queens? Or do you just storm them? I guess it doesn't matter, but they can still die pretty quickly. MaxPax really should not be adding on any more probes. Ooh, this is why he doesn't seem to have that many units at home. He's going in for a bit of a counterattack to watch the third base of the Zerg player. Well, it's a counterattack after lunch. Fair enough. Zealots decided to idle for a little bit. But this is indeed a hold. And while the Zealots are going to town, the rest of the Zerg army has to fully retreat. And now the clock starts ticking here for Solar really badly. Because the longer that this game takes, the better it's going to be for Protos. MaxPax at this point is getting more income than the Zerg. And his army in general, just the Protos units that he can produce at this point in time are pretty nuts. Another Zealot run by. We'll see if this one goes on a lunch break as well before they commit. Fourth Nexus also coming up. I almost wonder if MaxPax is being a little bit overly ambitious here. It almost feels a little sketchy, right? Where he's just being a bit greedier than I think he probably needs to be. This Zealot run by though is going to be super duper annoying. Do you retreat yet again? Another good storm. Still, the splitties on the Hydras are not bad. It's just the Queens can't really go anywhere. This Zerg army though does have a ton of firepower, but the Zealots are just dealing so much damage. And with this counterattack, Solar has no other choice than to GG out. So, what was the point of the second Stargate? Because we made 4 Void Rays, didn't we? You really don't need 2 Stargates. Those build orders that the top level Protoss have been going for lately, they are partly really powerful because they make no sense. Like, if you scout your opponent going double Stargate, do you expect them to make 4 flying units? I guess they made the Oracle as well. So 5 flying units in total? It's a little bit strange. I think that's exactly, though, why it's so powerful, right? You can tell here that the Zerg economy always hangs on by a thread. And obviously Protoss always has that that little bit of strategic wiggle room, I guess we can call it. They have a bit more wiggle room, at least, compared to both Terran as well as Zerg. There's just not that much that you can do wrong as for example, a Terran player for things to go horribly wrong, but usually with Protoss, at least you have a way out of the position. As long as you get the units out, the way in which you get there doesn't really seem to matter that much. I really thought, though, that an initial attack with the Hydras and the Zerglings was going to work out, but somehow, some way, MaxPax barely lost any economy. Good defense there. You know, if we can call Solar the new rank 1 Zerg, gotta take it with a grain of salt. Maybe we can call MaxPax the Mauer. I don't know. No, not entirely fair. Although MaxPax's defensive play in general is really good. Well, game number 3 in this best of 5. We find ourselves right now on Tourmaline. The other day I was playing some ladder games, and I think I played like maybe 9 ladder games, and 8 out of 9 were on this map. I have no maps vetoed. I don't get it. But I do now feel very comfortable on Tourmaline. Got at least that going for me. This map is kind of interesting. So there's this relatively short path from natural to natural. And if you look at the minimap alone, it doesn't really feel that significant. But with the way that the expansions are laid out, you tend to expand away from your natural, right? So you expand, for example, as a Zerg player here. We'll probably see this base taken in a moment. And then the next Zerg bases may very well go down at the bottom of the map. And then suddenly that straight path through the middle of the map from natural to natural feels really short. Zealot run-bys, Zergling run-bys can actually hit very rapidly. Although maybe, though, even though I did play a lot of games in a row on this particular map, maybe I am taking my expansions in the wrong order. We'll see, I guess, whether or not maybe this expansion, the one that is technically feeling at least like it's in the direction of the Protos here in Solar's case, which usually Zerg players try to avoid, but maybe that is something that Solar is going to be taking here a little bit sooner. Bit of scouting here from MaxPax, Oracle opener yet again. This time around, though, it is before any sort of Void Ray shenanigans. Solar decides to just run a bunch of Zerglings in. That's even cheaper than scouting with an Overlord. 2 Zerglings being 50 minerals. An Overlord being 100. Still, though, a drone does go down. Link speed is seconds away from finishing up, and I've got a feeling that those Adepts are going to have a difficult time getting back home. In the meantime, by the way, ooh, loads of probes are chasing all of this around as well. Oracle has to now be used for cleanup duty, which is really not where you want to be using it at this point in time. The second Adept also died, and look, this is a big problem for MaxPax, mostly because this Oracle was meant to be used offensively, and now if he wants to take a third, he still needs to keep this Oracle at home. This is the Protos CEO who's forced to play Janitor. Not ideal. Suboptimal for certain. Now the second Oracle is out, so I guess the first one can go across. But that's usually why you want to keep those first 2 Scouting Adepts alive. Oh no, big mismovement over here as well on that Oracle. Ugh. Kind of ugly. Yeah, usually you keep those first 2 Adepts alive just so you can actually save the third. It's those little things that start falling apart really quickly. All of this is, of course, fine, right? Like, none of this is the end of the world for MaxPax. But it's really not the spot that you want to be in as a Protoss at this point in time. Now, because of it, we're gonna go for Glaive Adepts. I find it kind of ironic, because usually Glaive Adepts are really good when you have the perfect early game. When you play the perfect early game as Protoss, when the Oracles swoop in, the Adepts go back home, your third base is not delayed and all that, this type of attack, it hits like an absolute truck. If Zerg is trying to play catch-up, when they're trying to, well, replace lost workers, then Glaive Adepts are really powerful. I'm really not sure whether or not they will be this time around, although, yeah, we do have a Roachborn here. As long as Solar sees maybe a few more Adepts getting warped in, or at least if he makes a bunch of units in time, he's gonna be A-okay. And if you commit heavily into a whole bunch of Adepts that don't do anything, you sort of, in a weird way, lose the game. It's not a tempo play here from MaxPax, that's for certain. But, I mean, I thought the same thing about the previous game, the previous map. And it ended up working out just fine. He has been doing a good job hiding those Adepts behind the Naturals mineral line. Now Solar is going to see the influx of Adepts. Roaches did already start up, though, and I do really like this setup across the board here. I think we're gonna see a wall-off. Yep. Well, I say that. This is actually not a perfect wall-off. Oh no, we have a creep tumor blocking it. Oh god. Block. Okay, we're not blocking. Honestly, though, I think the roach count here may just be fine. One of the oracles ends up going down. He was body blocking one of his own structures there with a creep tumor, in case you were wondering what in the world was happening inside of natural expansion. But this is kind of what I was trying to point out. Yeah, when you have a pretty rough early game, then is this really that good of a follow-up here as Protos? Zerg is going to retaliate immediately, I think, as soon as this is cleaned up. No Void Rays in this particular game, although it's actually still a healthy number of worker kills. Roach Speed, though, is going to finish up, and that's a perfect opportunity for Solar at least to go across the map and test the waters a little bit. Yeah. I guess he's afraid of another group of adepts maybe hiding off to the left side of the map. Solar, of course, plays on the Korean server quite a lot. Actually, he used to. These days, Solar is big on the European server. Anyways, he probably has played against Hero many times where there are indeed a bunch of adepts waiting. Yeah, the game is actually okay now. The game is actually okay right now for MaxPax. Still, though, it's a dangerous decision to make and one that only just barely paid off. The follow-up is going to be Blink Stalkers, double upgrades as well inside of the Forges, okay? Man, I feel like MaxPax has really been reinventing the way that he plays this matchup. It's so curious to me. It's the polar opposite of what he was doing for the last year or so. It turns out to play at the absolute highest level, you do need to play like a bit of a clown sometimes, apparently. Yeah. If you don't want to play like a clown, maybe pick Terran or something. But Protos, I guess Hero has shown us over the last 2 months that, yeah, in order to be successful with Protos, you gotta clown a little bit. You gotta at least work in the circus for a couple hours a week. Okay. I'm actually surprised that MaxPax is still able to navigate this. Like, in my mind, MaxPax is a very spreadsheet-oriented Protoss. Very little flexibility, but just straight-up execution that is better than basically anybody else's. This really doesn't feel like his preferred playstyle, but he's still doing a pretty darn good job. This is an overextension, though. Zerglings now with +1 melee, they do hit pretty hard. Protoss doesn't have armor upgrades just yet. There is already a 4th Nexus as well, though, done on the right side. But that's going to indeed open up an opportunity again to start sending some of those units across. Nice little stasis ward here, creating a wall. Making it difficult for the Zerg player to really chase this down. Transition, by the way, right now from Solar. Solar wants to go from Roaches and Zerglings into Hydraling Bane. Zealot run by, gets a bit of damage done. Here's the Banelings that were meant for the offense. They're going to be used for the defense instead. In the meantime, there is also a fight happening still between the Stalkers and the Roach Hydra. Storm is coming, though, which is nice. +2 has already been fired up. I wouldn't mind seeing that second Forge kick into motion as well here for MaxPax, although, again, it is a little bit greedy. 2 Banelings of the run-by squad are still available. Body blocked right there by the Stalker. It takes 2 Banes, of course, to kill a probe, so not the end of the world. High Templar, very exposed. Forced to storm his own Stalkers. Can we morph it an Archon, maybe? No, we don't need to. Okay. More and more Banelings, though, hiding off to the side. Chaos all over the map. Of course, Zealot run-bys have a lot of potential, but at least you can kind of miss them for a split second and still be fine. You cannot, however, miss the Baneling roll-by because your mineral line will disappear. Okay, he noticed it. He noticed it, and I think he's gonna be able to save the work. No! He stopped running. Okay, all right, only 10 in the end. Why did he stop running? I mean, he was managing a few other fights at the same time. Easier said than done, of course. Just keep running, but that was still 10 workers, of which I think at least half could have been prevented. Solar apparently enjoying how that explosion worked out for him. Decides to make an additional 29 Banes. We have now got, yeah, 29 with more coming up. Solar apparently has decided that the stage of droning is done. We have moved to non-stop unit production. No tech. Not even a whole lot of additional upgrades. Okay, that storm was really nice. I think Solar is basically just going to keep running with these Hydraling Bane armies all around the map, create as much chaos as possible, and then he hopes, maybe he prays that the opponent will just simply crumble under the pressure. And so far, it seems to be working out. About a 10-worker advantage at this point for Solar. He did already kill 1 Nexus. He does have enough units right now as well to just go ahead and split up the troops. Use the speed of this Zerg army to his advantage. +2 melee is really going to be a big power spike, actually, for the... not just the Zerglings, but also the Banelings. Storm. Oh, beautiful storm. Ooh, that's a really hot storm. Okay. That is the storm that every Protos player dreams of at night. Yeah. The entire Zerg army running into a choke point. Bam! One storm to kill almost everything. Problem is, not everything actually died. The lower damage per second of the storm there are noticeable, and when you morph in a low HP unit to something else, they will spawn with full HP. Nicely done right there by Solar, who's going to continue the multi-pronged aggression here for a little bit longer. A bunch of Zerglings going in, targeting down the High Templar there. A couple of Zerglings here nibbling away at some of the probes. Now the natural expansion is being broken open. And this is starting to look massively problematic right now for MaxPax. Yeah. It's all just a little bit too much. It's the little bits here and there. If he can stabilize, like he did in the previous game, and go in for some sort of counter-attack, I think it is still possible for him. But Solar is being relentless. While this is all going on, though, MaxPax is reproducing the workers. Keep in mind that Banelings are quite expensive. 50 minerals, 25 gas each. If you compare that to, a probe, it's 50 minerals for a probe. So it's not the end of the world here. But MaxPax is basically being swarmed right now, and losing these Archons and just a bunch of those expensive units is really the big thing you're trying to avoid. +3 coming up here for Max. I don't believe we're going to be seeing that for Solar at all, so no Lurker Den, no Hive, no Nydus Worm. It's none of the things that Solar used to do in the previous patch. He basically decides this is the unit composition, this is the economy, and now we make army, and army only. He's still getting Evo Chamber upgrades, at least for the ones that he can, but... very curious. I haven't really seen a lot of other Zerg players try this out. Good storm yet again, though, for MaxPax. Oh, nicely done. Zealots over here, ready to defend at home. Zealots, of course, a mineral-only unit. Oh, this could be painful. That's another 22 probes down the drain. Make it 28. Yeah, and if you start dealing that amount of damage... I mean, how many workers have died right now in total? 81 probes! 81 probes. When you deal that amount of damage, the floodgates, well, they're open, and they can't be stopped. I briefly mentioned expansion patterns, right? On Tourmaline. And what I was trying to point out sort of happened in that game as well. MaxPax decided to take the far away 4th base. I wonder if he should have taken the other one instead. Now, obviously, he did take the one to the left of his natural expansion at some point too. But it feels like the bases on that map are very far spread apart. And especially when you have that advantage of creep. The Zerg can just reposition armies like no tomorrow, and... yeah, playing defensively in general is super hard in StarCraft 2. I think the playstyle is fine, though, for MaxPax. I think it's probably due to the fact that the maps are still pretty new. We've only really had them for a while, and obviously not every single tournament is using the same map pool right now. I do think that MaxPax can probably figure out how to balance that. Yeah, that sort of army versus positioning problem that you run into. But... no, it was a win right there for Solar. And he's doing it yet again in that new style that he's been favoring. Or with that new style, I guess, that he's been favoring. So, hatch gas pool again. This time around, we did have a very quick probe scout. So, 3rd hatchery is going to be the very first expansion. This map is called Old Republic. The way that actually the main, the natural, and the 3rd are laid out. And then the same actually for the 4th as well. Reminds me of some older maps, like for example Cloud Kingdom. I know the map in general is very different, but it gives me a very similar early game vibe. By the way, when I randomly mention map names, do people actually like visualize, like, do you visualize the maps that I'm rambling off? Like the ones that, like, I see a picture. When I say Metalopolis, I see a picture in my head immediately of the map Metalopolis. But maybe this is like, maybe you need to be too deep into the StarCraft nerdiness for any of that sort of reference to make sense. When I say Steps of War, does that ring a bell? Lost Temple? Anyways, it's going to be a Stargate. This is one of the beautiful things. I noticed the same thing, actually. Like, I watch quite a bit of Formula 1 these days. But obviously, Formula 1 has an insane history, right? And sometimes people bring up references from things that are 20, 30, 40, sometimes 60 years old. Believe it or not, I have not seen those races. Now, I still enjoy listening to it. So I don't really mind, but it does not ring a bell. No. When you mention the incident of 2008, I have no idea what the incident was. Void Ray again here for MaxPax. Yeah, and I guess StarCraft 2 is now in a similar spot as well. It's one of the beauties of the game, though. Oh. Wow. 3 drones? Alright. This is one happy adept. You can't see it, but she's smiling ear to ear. Although I don't think she has ears. Or a mouth. So I guess she can't smile, but still. Ooh, supply block. What just happened here for a second? He had to cancel something. MaxPax making a little bit of a macro mistake, it looks like. One of the pylons must have just finished up in time. There is one Void Ray available, trying to be a nuisance. Killing Overlords for now, denying vision. Okay. Hold up, I need to close the door. Cat aggro. Cat aggro. Alright. I think there's somebody outside. It's very important when there's somebody outside that you go and meow at them. Yeah. Protect the territory, you know? I do a terrible job. I'm just sitting in this room, shouting loudly, showing everybody our hiding spot. So Milo has taken the duty of meowing people away. Shout out to Milo. Very intimidating indeed. All right, Lair coming up right now for Solar. We have a Twilight Council together with a Forge. And another Void Ray. So this is Void Ray into Oracle into Void Ray. Remember that style that Void Rays, that MaxPax played with Void Rays a few weeks ago? I haven't really seen him do it all too much, but it was very interesting. It's just that it sort of dies to Zerg players being aggressive. Now, admittedly, it didn't really work in Solar's favor on Mothership, but that was still on a razor's edge. The main problem you run into is that things like, for example, Storm just feel like it's difficult to transition into. Such a pivotal upgrade. Trying his best to get the hatchery kill again. Yeah, we are just pumping out Void Rays, but now we're doing it off of only a single Stargate. Solar, though, has decided to flip the script as well. He will be going for a nydus network now. So this is going to hit massively before the Twilight Council upgrade is done, before the Sonic Storm research is done. I wonder how good this is going to be for the Zerg player, but obviously the idea is to bring the queens across the map. So the Zerglings right now are already very mobile, but the queens are not. What happens if you can now also bring the queens to the front lines? Ooh, Nydus in the back of the main. We do have to warp in units immediately, but does he have a warp in available? That's the question. He just warped in a bunch of units over here at the third base. Shield battery is gonna get targeted down. Keep in mind that Solar is on match point with this particular map. Yeah, he has a bit of wiggle room, and you know what? You never expect the ladies to come marching into your main base. Void Rays are here, though. Solar has stopped worker production at 45. That's barely enough for 2 bases. There's a third hatchery. There's even a fourth. All of them are fake. Really just for larva production only. new queens do pop out as well. More and more Zerglings are going to appear. We're even doing a Spinecrawler push from inside the main base of Protos. One of the big issues here for MaxPax is that these structures right now are unpowered. So he cannot finish up... Nah, it's not going to be within range of the forge. He can finish up the charge eventually. Some decent feedbacks here as well. That's something, but... what you're really hoping for right now as a Protoss player is something a little bit beefier than these units that he's got right now. Without charge, without +1, without storm, everything here that MaxPax is doing is tough, but he's still maneuvering around his own main base. He's still trying to retake it. These Spinecrawlers, though, are going to be sick. Yeah, we have a bunch of spines even hitting the third base mineral line from the main base of the Protoss player itself. Roach Warren right now on the back of this. Zergling infestation as well inside of the natural expansion. Really just targeting down as many pylons as he can hit. And the queens right now are just so freaking powerful. Yeah, these spines, they're actually insane. More queens showing up as well, by the way. He's now up to 10. How many did he lose? Just the first one just now. Workers are dropping like flies here for MaxPax. And Solar showing off the range of strategic variety that he's capable of playing. It's a little bit of everything. We saw a 12 pool, we saw a macro game, we saw hyper-aggressive pushes, now we see a nydus all in. The man does a little bit of everything, and how do you play against that? Charge at the very least is done, but it feels a little too late. Oh, transfusions onto the Spinecrawlers as well, by the way. We have a couple of the queens working away at the Void Race. 54 probes have died. Even right now, if MaxPax somehow magically cleans it up, and it looks like we may be headed in that direction, the economy that is left over for him is just really atrocious. 19 probes. 19 probes? And you know what? On the back of this, Solar made workers of his own. Solar made a Roach Warren. He's getting Roach speed. He's got a 4th hatchery with a little bit of mining. It looks, though, that MaxPax is going to get another shot in this game. I wouldn't blame him if he decided to leave right now. Because this game, for all intents and purposes, okay, is indeed over. But sometimes, right, it only takes one mistake from... That's two. One mistake from the opponent to try and get back into it. But Solar is too good, right? And now the problem is you're not just pushing across the map into mass Zergling. Now you're going to be pushing into roaches. And I think upon seeing the roaches, he knew that there really wasn't a way to get anything done with a zealot-only army. It's just not going to happen. So GG gets called, and it's Solar who obtains the victory, 3-1.